do this in?
This will be within the first year of Hillary Clinton's presidency. She was not supposed to lose. So this was all planned up, and it was more than just that. It was twofold. They wanted to pack the court, and take out as many as they could. Roberts was actually helping because he didn't want to be one of them, and he wanted some choice in who would be on the bench after that. He wanted to maintain some form of control. So he did provide information. But it was supposed to be done within the first year of Hillary Clinton's campaign so that they could ban firearms as well, and pack the court. So they had plenty of time to do that. That was their two main goals.
Do you believe the death of Anton Scalia was a part of this same plot, or do you know if that was a separate?
It was the same people. He was a backup plan. He was their biggest. It was the same people. He was a backup plan. He was their biggest threat. I mean, the most conservative justice. Justice Scalia, actually, I believe he found out about this, the plans, and he went to the White House like a week before his death. I believe he found out what they were trying to do. When they moved away from the overall attack of where these people lived, or they would attack around the holidays when more than one justice would be in their home, things like this. And again, Roberts was providing this, but they had to take him out. He was seen as their biggest obstacle. So the same basic group that was involved were given access to the ranch where he was found. They talked about how they did it. They had a couple different options, but it was discussed prior to his death, what they intended to do, where they could possibly do it, how they could do it, who they would need. The records are there at the Cibolo Ranch. One person was brought in, so there was 3 men. One person was brought in as a temp worker. The other 2, same team, were brought in as servants from a group that was there hunting. And they discussed how it was done, that they used DIMSO, dimethyl suboxide, which is a fairly inert chemical, just goes through your skin. But if you mix it with a poison or a drug or something like that, it'll go directly into your system and overload you. I believe that's why he was found with the pillow over his face. He was struggling to breathe. He couldn't breathe. He was choking. And directly into your system and overload you. I believe that's why he was found with the pillow over his face. He was struggling to breathe. He couldn't breathe. He was choking. And this particular chemical you can tailor to the person. If they have a drug problem, you can put fentanyl in it and overdose them. If they have a heart condition, it would take very little to go directly in. It would be like a direct injection into the heart. And they talked about how they did it. And Roberts is on the phone with these people discussing the successor. He wanted a say in it because now it was only going to be one person. He wanted to pick that person. And he wanted a say in who was going to take it. And of course, there was a lot of people that were talking about Eric Holder taking it, all kinds of people. But he wanted a say in who was going to take over Justice Scalia's spot. And I don't think he got it. I mean, obviously it didn't happen because President Trump was here. But he did want it. And this was all prior to discussions and him complaining that he wasn't getting any say prior to his death, his sudden death. So it was well known. And
so aside from Roberts being waiting on this, did Rosenstein or anyone outside of the White House, had they been made aware of the plans, perhaps in Hillary's camp, that you could speak about?
Oh, Hillary and Obama knew about it. I mean, it was supposed to be done under her watch, her first term, so that they could pack the court. They were fully aware of it. Rod has an intense hatred of Hillary, even though he worked with him and he had to. He's not fond of Obama, really. He's only fond of himself. But this was plans that they enacted through them, and Rod was integral in running the Hammer system through Baltimore. I started working directly with Rob Rosenstein in Baltimore. And because of the access, many other agencies, FBI, for instance, would come for corroboration of something they were working on, or just to ask questions if I'd seen something like this, if this related to anything. And it grew from there. Because of the undercover nature of many of the investigations I worked on, terrorists or things like that, domestic terrorism within the country, they kept me fairly well concealed. And access was limited to a certain group headed by Rob Rosenstein. This became known as the Dirty Trick Squad in Baltimore. This is where they were using hammer, sunrise, sunset, things like that, to illegally spy on people, corrupt, attempted to corrupt judges, compromise them, Hillary Clinton, others. I mean, it was just ongoing. They concentrated on judges, but they wanted to concentrate on this. This is done under the guise of a CSIPS operation. It's a DOJ CSIPS computer operation. It was run out of Fort Washington, but a satellite location in Baltimore. And it would illegally compromise people, illegally wiretap, break into computers, plant, reverse, change information, change emails, things of that nature. And it was in this capacity of working with them that the information about the judges and Roberts and Pence and things like that had come out. I've tried several times in the past to get it out and was thoroughly squashed by Rod and the DOJ and the FBI to a horrible extent. I tried to get in 2015, tried to end run them and go to the Department of Homeland Security. And once I went there with a pile of evidence and some video and audio recordings. It got too large for them, I suppose, but it made its way back to the FBI and DOJ, and it came down on us again. This was 2015. And in 2016, I made a video discussing quite a bit of this in an effort to get it to Devin Nunes, who was head of the House Intelligence Committee at the time, but there was interference from one of the people involved. He messed that all up, so it went largely unnoticed. But on the video, I tried to warn President Trump about the people that he was dealing with daily, and especially Rod, Pence, things like that, as they were working together to remove him, trying to compromise the people around them, get dirt on anyone they possibly could.
All right. So I'm going to ask you if we could get into some more of the details